Hello, welcome to this short practice, probably about 30-40 minutes. Running season is on us in the UK. Just start of spring, really nice this time of year, really lovely to get out and enjoy the countryside if you're fortunate to live near the countryside, which fortunately I am. And there's a lot of runners out there training for the London Marathon, which is brilliant. A lot of walkers out there as well. What comes with a lot of training, particularly overtraining, is risk of injury. Plantar fasciitis is one that occurs quite frequently in runners. If you've never had it, you don't really want it. And if you are struggling with it, I'm going to do a few postures in this sequence that might alleviate, address it, help prevent it. Maybe it's all about flexibility, really, in the tight fascial wrap around the heel of the foot, around the sole of the foot. Not going into it in great detail. If you've got it, you know you got it. You know why you've got it. You know how horrible it is. And again, if you do a lot of walking and you suffer with really low back ache, that might be attributed to tight hamstrings. So we're going to do some long stretches of the hamstrings, some stretches of the lower calf muscles as well. So start off with a nice, comfortable seated position. I'm going to gently roll the shoulders, just get some movement in the shoulders. Draw the shoulders up, squeeze up as much as you can, and after 3, 2, 1, let go. It's a really nice way of figuring out if you're carrying any tension in your shoulders. You can do this sat at your desk if you do a lot of work on a computer. Do this a couple of times and then roll the shoulders backwards. Okay, take the hands out either side of the body. Slow breath in, lift the hands up nice and high, and breath out down. Nice calibration of movement to breath, breath to movement. Next, coming up, take a side bend to one side. So take one hand to the floor, bring the other arm over, stretch and reach and lengthen and open up through the ribs. Take a breath into that side that's stretching. Feel the lung expand into the rib space, and then come up. Keep the shoulders on top of the hips, keeping the sit bones grounded, and bring the arm over. And then you're thinking about your breath, and you're breathing into that exposed side. Breathe into that space. Come up. Lift hands up, nice big breath in, reach up. And then the gentle twist rotation to one side, bring one hand to your knee. The other hand props the spine up and twist in an upright twist, if you like. Try not to lean backwards in your twists. Go to that point of compression in your body. Notice how that changes the breath. And then come up, lift the hands up again, lengthening a line in the spine and a twist into the other direction. Twisting through, keeping the body almost upright as you go into that point of compression in your body. Notice how the breath changes, but still breathing gently. Okay, come all the way back to the front. Take your hands behind you now. Lean back on your hands, point your fingers backwards, strong in the arms, and then draw your shoulders back, chest lifts, arching through the lower back, lifting the head up just slightly. Feel that nice stretch through the front of the body here, squeezing through shoulder blades towards each other. Great for your posture. And release, and then come onto your front into a tabletop 4-point position. A couple of cat cows to get the spine moving. Always good to do these movements through your spine. And you can work with the breath here. So as you breathe in, tummy down, head lifts, tailbone up. As you breathe out, round your back, pull your belly button in. I would do this every day if you get the opportunity. Okay, and then take a stretch of the spine, the back now. Walk the hands forwards, sit the hips backwards towards your heels, and feel the hands press into the floor just gently, but then pull back on your sit bones to find that space in your back. You'll know it when you feel it. It really is a great stretch. Open through the discs, the vertebrae, the shoulders, the tissues, the ribs. Breathe big breaths down into the lower part of your lungs, into the lower chambers of your lungs. You feel the belly button push to the floor as you breathe in. As you breathe out, you go a little bit deeper. Using the breath out, that release, that flip of your nervous system into rest, digest, repair, to go a little bit deeper. Okay, come up onto your knees and then tuck your toes in, sit back towards your heels a little bit, widen your hands, and then push into the floor as you come into your downward dog. So the first downward dog, very, very slowly lifting the hips high, taking the weight backwards towards your heels, and then pedal through the legs here. You'll feel your soleus muscle, your lower calf muscle stretch as you do this. And again, if you suffer with fasciitis, plantar fasciitis, this is a nice way to ease into any form of practice, any form of stretching. And then lifting up onto your toes, bend your knees, and again, stretching through the toe knuckles. Hold, breathe. And then straightening your legs. Slow breath in, come through to a plank position. And then gently, with your tummy pulled in, lower your pelvis down. Lift your head and look forward, draw your shoulders backwards. Feel in control here. So pulling your tummy button in, and then lift the hips high, heels down, downward dog. Do this a couple of times. Okay, pull your tummy button in, come forwards, weight comes onto the wrist, and lower the pelvis to the floor as you draw the shoulders back, lift up through the crown of the head, looking forwards, keeping in control by pulling your tummy button in, supporting your lumbar spine, and then come up, downward dog, and one more. Getting a really good stretch. If you think about it, your calf muscles. And then slight back bend, not too deep. Good pressure down through your fingertips and come all the way back. Okay, and then dropping your right knee to the floor. Rotate your left heel down to the floor. Lean into your right hand to take the left arm up and then forward. Big side stretch here. Nice big side stretch. Stretch it through the ribs, reaching the hand forwards. If you want, you can float that foot off the floor. Get a little bit of stability balance here. Looking down at the floor, bringing the left hand to the floor. Keep the left leg raised and then reach up with the right hand and breathe here. Stretching the fingers, stretching the toes. A couple of breaths here and then drop the right hand, sweep the left foot out to the left, land the heel, point the toes away. You already feel some tension in your adductors. Tuck your right toes in, slowly sit back a little bit and then come forward. A couple of gliding stretches, adductor hamstring stretches, gently easing into it. And then the third time, come back a little bit. Walk down forwards, lower the chest down, pull the sit bones backwards. Feel that release in your hip. Nice, slow breath. And then come up, hands come under the shoulders, bringing that left knee back onto the mat. And then straighten out your right leg, tuck the right toes, and then rotate your right heel down to the floor. Lean into your left hand as you draw the right arm up and then forwards for this big long stretch here. Always again thinking when you open the body up, fill the space. So we'll open the ribs up here. Try to breathe into that side. Feeling the pressure of your fingertips, your left hand into the floor. Weight leans into that left hand. Maybe you can take that right foot off the floor. Otherwise, stay in the stretch. The stretch is all super good. This is just a little bit of a step up just to check your stability, your balance, your control. Bringing your right hand to the floor, so even pressure through both hands as you square the hips. Float the left arm up to the side of the head, pointing the toes, pointing the fingers, and feeling that engagement of your core muscles here and your upper back, your back muscles. And then dropping the left hand to the floor, sweeping that right leg out to the side. Heel ground, push the toes away so you can ground the toes. Tuck the left toes in and then gently glide in stretches. Glide in, come backwards, come forwards. Backwards, come forwards. Feeling that all the time, feeling that adductor hamstring. Reach hands forwards and lower the chest down. And go to that position for you where you can release your kneecap, soften through the thigh muscles, and allow the fascia, the connective tissue to stretch around that hip joint, around the hamstrings, around the adductors. And breathe in again into your belly, hacking your nervous system. Rest, digest, repair in these deep stretches. Come forwards, and then come into a tabletop position. Tuck the toes in, take the pressure off the knees. Downward dog. Going a little bit deeper now. Tissue starts to lengthen, soften. Look up between the hands, bend the knees, walk slowly to the top of the mat, and then come to a bent knee forward bend as you release your shoulders and your neck. Let your head and your shoulders hang here. Feel the passive stretch with gravity. And then slowly roll into a standing position. Rolling the shoulders backwards. Inhale the hands up, and then exhale, cactus the arms, bringing the elbows down, shoulder height. Breath in, lift up, bend the knees, hands to the shins, and then breath in, half lift at the top of your mat. Bend the knees, take your hands to the floor, and step the right foot to the back of the mat, bringing the left knee on top of the left ankle, knee points over the toes, lean into your right hand. Then you turn to the left, take the left arm up and twist backwards. Okay, keeping that left knee pointing forward, so keeping your hips square. Okay, couple of breaths here. And bring that left hand to the floor, right knee to the floor, top of right foot on the floor. Push up, pull your tummy button in, reach up, palms come together, and then lean in, keeping your core pulled in. So you're stretching your hip flexor now on the right side, looking forwards, feeling that tension build, keeping the breath nice and soft, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And then draw the arms outwards, palms up, really big chest opener, keeping the tension in the hip flexor. Breath in, lift the hands up. Exhale the hands, fingertips to the floor. Now we go for half split. So taking the weight backwards onto your right knee, keeping your left heel grounded. Pull your left toes backwards and then draw backwards on the sit bone. Drawing backwards on the sit bone, you'll feel that tension in the back of the leg. Lean your chest down onto your thigh. You will really feel this. Such a great stretch of the tight fascia around your hamstrings. The tightness here in your hamstrings really pulls on your ischiums, your sit bones, if it's really tight. And then that tilts your pelvis backwards, puts a lot of pressure on your lumbar spine. So really go deep with these half splits. Softening the kneecap, softening the thigh, pulling back on the heel, leaning your chest down on the thigh. And then come forwards. Go for about 5 breaths, about 30 seconds. Come forwards, tucking your right toes in, lift your right knee off of the floor, step back into a downward dog. And you will feel it. If you go really deep with that half split, you feel that softness now. You come back into downward dog, and you feel the back of your leg, your thigh. Take a vinyasa here. Inhale through to plank. Exhale, half plank if you want, or knees, chest, chin. Nice fluid movements with the breath. With the breath in, cobra, draw the chest away, and then come down. See how that feels. Now take your arms out a little bit wider and then take a cobra here with wider arms. You might find that gives you a little bit more release in your spine. As you take your arms away, allow the trapezius to draw the scapula back down the back. So the shoulder blades going backwards. Put your tummy button in just to support your lumbar spine. Try to deepen that back bend. Looking down at the floor, not straining, craning your neck. But go with what is comfortable for you. Release to the floor, hands come in either side of the ribs, push up onto your knees, back into your child to stretch the spine out. So you just compress the lumbar spine, now we're stretching it. Good movement for your lower back. Again, breathing down into the lower chambers of your lungs. So your diaphragm massages the front of your lumbar spine. It's all connected. And then come up. Tabletop. Tuck the toes in, sit back towards the heels, lift up, downward dog. Always good to spend some time in downward dog. It's a restorative posture. Always trying to find some release if you can. So pushing evenly down in both ears, lower the chest down, looking back towards your ankles. Bend your knees, look up between the hands, walk on your toes towards the top of the mat. And again, let your arms dangle here. Let your shoulders release. Let your neck soften. And then slowly roll to standing. Rolling the shoulders back. Inhale, lift the hands up nice and high. Exhale, take the hands behind the back. Clasp the hands. Draw the shoulders towards each other, shoulder blades towards each other. Bend your knees and then slowly release. Breath out. Come forwards. Just bring those arms as straight arms forwards as much as you can. Find some softness in your shoulders, keeping the knees bent. And release your hands to the floor. Step in your left foot to the back of the mat, and then with your right knee pointing over the right toes, lean into your left hand, turn to the right, and take this nice lunge twist here, taking that right arm backwards. Check it in, making sure your knee stays pointing forwards. And breathe again. Breathing into space you create. Down at the floor. Bring that right hand to the floor. At the same time, dropping the left knee to the floor, top of the left foot on the floor. Push into your right foot, pull your tummy button in, reach the hands up, crescent moon lunge here. Palms come together. With the body upright, lean into the lunge. You feel that hip flexor stretch on this side. Keeping the breath nice and slow and steady. Soft in the shoulders, palms together, reaching the fingers up. Not going too deep into the back bend. Keeping your tummy button pulled in will support your lumbar spine. And then slowly open through the front of the body here. Draw the arms out nice and wide, palms up. Feel that really nice squeeze of your shoulder blades in the back. That stretch through the front of the body. Breath in, lift the hands up, and then breath out. Float the hands down so the fingertips come on the floor for stability. And walking your fingertips backwards, lifting your right toes into the heel here. And then when you're ready, pull back on that grounded heel. Soften through your thigh, you're releasing your kneecap in that right leg, and then lowering your chest down, deepening that stretch. Pulling the toes backwards a little bit will lengthen through your gastroc muscle and your soleus. Always going to that point of tension. When it starts to ease, to soften a little bit, explore ranges of movement, but maybe going deeper. And then walk the hands forwards, and then tucking your left toes in, lift your left knee off of the floor, step back into your dog. Inhale through to a plank. Exhale to half plank or knees, chest, chin. Again, nice and controlled. And then take the hands out wide again. Inhale, cobra, softening your shoulders. Exhale to the floor. Tuck the toes in, push up onto your knees or into a plank, and then hips high, heels down, downward dog. Okay, now dropping down onto your right knee. We're going to step the left toes just slightly behind the knee. Walk the hands backwards, and if you can see that. So knee is here, toes are just slightly behind, and then lean down with your chest on your thigh. We're looking for some slight tension around your soleus muscle, which terminates in your Achilles tendon. So it's that lower muscle of your calf. By leaning your weight down onto your thigh, you can feel a stretch of your soleus muscle. Now, you might need to work out where your toes go in relation to the grounded knee. So explore, experiment with this. Find that point where you can lean into the thigh, really feel that stretch of your soleus muscle. And simply stay here and breathe. Soften through your upper body, lean into the thigh, feel that nice stretch. Any of these postures that you're concerned about, simply don't do. Take some care with these postures. If you're okay, we're looking for mild discomfort, not intense pain. That's not yoga. Okay, and then release that soleus stretch, and we go on the other side. So dropping the left knee to the floor, and we bring that right foot, the toes just behind the knee, bend the knee and lean down onto the thigh to feel that, start to feel that stretch of your soleus muscle. Always releasing contracting muscles when you come into these deep stretches. So don't fight against it. Try to find that release anywhere. And you'll get some referred tension. The fascia connects, like web-like structure, connects to everything. So you might get muscles tightening on the other leg, on the grounded knee. So just let it go. Just find some release here. So you can localize that stretch to where it's needed. Again, 5 breaths. And then release. Okay, we're going to come up into our dog. So tuck the toes in and then come into your downward dog. A bit of movement here. Some up onto your toes, bend the knees a little bit, and then take these sort of circular rotated movements. So this will get the joints really moving, the muscles around the joints really engaged. Okay, good. And then bend the knees, walk the hands backwards, come to ground in the heels, and draw the arms forwards into chair pose, firing up your quads. Okay, sitting down now, trying to get into this seated position, reaching the hands up, pulling your tummy button in, firing your glutes, quads, hamstrings are engaged, calves are engaged. Super powerful posture. Now stay here and hold, but I'm just going to come to the wall here. These seated movements are really good for your quads. I'd encourage you to do this quite regularly, possibly even 3 times a day for about 30 seconds if you can hold it. Okay, super great. But otherwise, staying in chair and then slowly straighten the legs and release the hands down. Staying at the back of your mat, lift the hands up nice and high and down. Breathe in, lift up, lean into your right foot, bend through your left knee, left toes on the floor, look down at the floor and float the left foot off of the floor into balance here, standing staff pose. And then a short stride as you drop the left foot down in front of you. Take your hands behind the back, turn your right foot out slightly so the heels are in alignment, squaring your hips, and then come forwards and extended forward bend. Both legs are straight. As you bring the body forward, you'll feel the tension build in the back of your leading leg, your left leg, and lower down. You can work the shoulders here by interlacing the fingers, straightening the arms, and then drawing the arms up as well. Find some tension in your shoulders. This is really about hamstrings again. Soften your kneecap, your left kneecap, lower the chest down, breathe softly. Noticing with the breath again, as you breathe out, tension releases from the body, and you can actually go a little bit deeper. Go on a journey of release with 5 breaths and see where that journey takes you in the posture. Let the posture come to you, don't force it, use the breath to release into it. Coming all the way back, pull your tummy button as you come upright. Release the hands, inhale the arms up nice and high, bend through your left knee. We'll take a warrior 3 balance here. So reach the hands forward, the weight goes into that left foot, lifting the right foot off of the floor, looking down at the floor. And if you feel the control here, you can take arm swings on the breath out. So as you breathe out, move the arms. Breathe in as you come to a pause, breathe out, move the arms. And then slowly come to a standing position again, okay? So those warrior 3s are great for core, great for building strength up in your ankle joint, your knee joint, your hip joint, that kinetic chain. And when you put some movement in there, it really spices it up a bit, okay? So we'll do the same on the other side. So draw the arms up and then bend through the right knee, the toes are on the floor, find your focal point on the floor, and then draw that right knee off of the floor. Keep focused on the floor, stay here, standing staff, and then slowly taking that right foot forwards, short stride, and then turning the left foot out. So the heels are in alignment, and squaring the hips. Okay, so your sit bone is already pulling the hamstring up. Square the hips, take the hands behind the back, maybe grab hold of wrists or forearms, and then exaggerate and lean forwards, bringing your chest down towards the thigh. Softening the kneecap, softening the thigh. Maybe take the hands up if you want to. Squeeze through the shoulders as well. And again, it's a process of breathing and releasing. Slowly come out of that. Releasing your hands and then bending through that front leg and lifting your left foot off of the floor to find your warrior 3. Take your time to establish warrior 3 as a balance on this leg, looking down at the floor. Again, finding that stability. And then only if you want to test it, breathe out and move. Breathe in here and out and move. So when you swing your arms, you pull your tummy button in and you move. And then standing position. Okay, you'll feel that in your ankle, in your standing leg. Okay, in the standing position now, with a breath in, lift the hands up, straight legs, diving down, nice flat through the back as you come to a half lift, hands onto your shins, breathe in, lift your chest away, lift your chest up, and then bend in the knees, hands to the floor. I'm going to take a squat here, so take the feet out to the edges of the mat. Slowly engage your pelvic floor, slowly sit into your hips, and then soften your shoulders to come to a squat pose. And if you go deeper here, extend the arms in front of you, engaging your core, breathing softly, but feeling that good compression in your hip joints. Take your hands behind you, fingertips on the floor, and slowly bum to the floor. Come into a straight leg position here, a little bit of a shuffle forwards on your sit bones, and then reach the hands upwards, and then as if you're pushing something forwards with your arms straight, almost push with your shoulders forwards. This will rotate, hopefully rotate your pelvis forwards, and drop the hands down on your legs. Leaning forwards, if you like, into this forward bend. And then slowly release. Okay, take your hands behind you, just behind you, bend your knees. Feet are hip width apart, and we're going to push into our straight arms and lift into a tabletop. So reverse tabletop, head comes backwards. And we're going to do a couple of these movements, dynamic movements. So you do this, get into this movement and pull your tummy button in, go on the exhale. Inhale, bum comes towards the floor but doesn't land. Exhale, push up. Inhale. And this time, inhale and exhale and lift up, bring the head in line with the spine, don't drop it back, and use your lower back muscles to push your pelvis up. And release. Bum on the floor now, roll onto your back, wrap your arms around your knees, give your knees a squeeze. Drop in the right foot to the floor, straighten the left leg, hamstring stretch, pull the toes in towards your shin. This will lengthen the gastroc muscle, and draw that leg in and back off. Do this a couple of times. Doesn't matter if your knee's bent, just find some tension in the back of your leg, head and shoulders on the floor if that's all comfortable for you. And stay here, static now, static stretch. Putting the toes in, on the breath out, pulling that leg in. And release, rest the ankle on top of your right thigh. Bring the right foot off the floor, wrap the hands around either thigh or the shin, and then draw that leg in to feel that nice stretch through your glutes, your left glutes. And lower that foot down, and lower the left foot down. Okay, we go again on the other side. So lift the right leg up, reach up, grab hold of the leg, pull the toes into the shin. A couple of gliding stretches just to soften off through the back of the leg. And then come in and hold. The toes in, pushing the back of the knee away, find some tension and breathe softly. And back off, and we come into figure of four or pigeon. So resting your right ankle on top of the left thigh, lifting the left leg up, wrap your hands around the thigh and draw it in. And release that foot to the floor. Okay, so bring your heels close to your bottom. You can do some bridges now. So head and shoulders on the floor, arms down the side of the body. Position your pelvis by pulling your tummy button down into your spine, pull your lower back into the floor, and hold it there. Just keep your navel pulled in all the time you move through bridge pose. It really does help strengthen through the pelvis Okay, the sacrum, sacroiliac joint, keep some strength there. Hands down the side of the body and navel pulled in. Slow breath in, draw the pelvis away from the floor, breath out, come down. You can change the breath here. You can go on the exhale if you prefer that form, which actually I do. I always like to move on and exhale in these power postures because it allows me to pull my tummy button in, and putting my tummy button in, that allows the diaphragm to move a lot better. Okay, then hold the next one and shuffle your hands under your back so you can interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. So we're going to use the upper shoulders to help drive this bridge even higher. So now with your arms grounded down through the body, push into your feet as you lift your pelvis up. Try to keep your knees parallel, thinking about your adductors active and bringing your knees towards each other, because naturally our knees flop out to the side in bridge if we tighten our abductors. So use your inner thighs to draw your knees together. And then release your hands, keeping your navel pulled in, lower your whole body to the floor. When your pelvis lands on the floor, a couple of pelvic rotations as you massage through your sacroiliac joint, and then take your arms away from the mat, take your feet out to the edges of the mat and gently windscreen wiper your hips, your knees. Okay, and then bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your knees, give a couple of squeezes here, and then we do a back roll. So taking hands round the back of the thighs, back roll up your spine. Do this a couple of times. If you've got a soft surface beneath you, it's good for your discs. It really does put some pressure, nice massage of your spine. On upwards, okay, and then straighten out your right leg, bend your left knee, turn the body to face over that straight leg, pull the toes backwards, reach the hands up. And again, this is pushing movement. As you push up, we're trying to get the pelvis to rotate forwards and nice and flat in the lower back. So you might already find some tension in that straight leg in the back of the leg, and then lower the hands down. Lower the hands, rest them, or grab hold if you want to the bind and come further forwards. But this is really about hamstrings, all the time making sure that you haven't got any referred contractions in this side. So soften through here, find some tension in the back of the leg and come forwards. If you're not finding any tension, it's really pulling on your lower back, simply come backwards a little bit. It's just not worth it. Okay, everybody's carrying tension somewhere in the body. And if you find that it's more in the back in this posture, then go quite easy with it. It's simply a forward bend counter pose for bridge. And it's a nice forward bend because we've got one set of hamstrings out of the way in flexion effectively, whereas these ones are in extension. So we're really working these hamstrings and the fascia around this side of the body, okay? And then come upwards. You can take a wild thing counter pose if you want. Take your left arm out towards just behind you and push into that left arm, ground through your right foot, push your pelvis forward, reach your hand up. If this is too much for your wrist, you can use your forearm, your left forearm, and take a different version of wild thing. But again, just thinking about pose, counter pose in your yoga practice, super good to do both sides of the movement of the joints of the muscles, okay? It's like anything. If you stretch and release, stretch and release, stretch and release, you get much more than really just stretching, stretching, stretching. And that's where we do the gliding. That's what the gliding is really good. Turn the face over the other leg again, releasing the joint, releasing the knee, pushing up, thinking about the hamstring tension, and then dropping the hands down, watching your lower back, and then work with the breath here. Nice slow belly breaths. And as you breathe out, body naturally releases. So you can just go a little bit further into it. We're gently stretching that fascial wrap, connective tissue wrap that tightens up around the muscles and the joints. Best analogy is that leather glove that got wet, fell in a pond, and you put on a radiator and it gets really tight. So that's the fascia in your body. Normally, until we start stretching and moving, manipulating, making it a lot more pliable. And then the joints can really start to work through their normal range of movement instead of being compressed into a restricted range of movement. And the best way to release fascia is with the breath. So breath nice and slow, particularly long exhales. Okay, you can take a wild thing here on this side. If you want to counter pose, pushing the pelvis forward, stretch it up, very gentle back bend. And release. And that's it. That's as much as I would do on this practice. This is really targeting the hamstrings. It's targeting the calves. Also, we're working around the hips as well, get the hips mobile, because as we all know, everything's connected in the body, and we can't just localize focus on one thing. So any yoga practice is a good yoga practice to address tightness in your hamstrings, your hips, your lower back. But some of the postures that we've done here are my go-to postures if I'm feeling particularly tight in the back of the legs from running, cycling. I've developed a slight amount of plantar fasciitis because I've been up in the mileage, which is disappointing because I had it years ago on the other foot, and it took me a while to shift it. It was actually yoga that actually unlocked it. So I'm fairly confident that with improved stretching through and reduced mileage, that will start to calm down a bit. And I hope that you don't suffer with it, but if you do, then stretching is the answer, in my opinion. It worked certainly for me the first time I had it. And with anything like that, that is a consequence of overuse injury, when you're really pushing your body, you know, a lot, and look, these marathon runners really pushing your body in sagittal plane, repetitive, you need a little bit of release from that. So yoga is perfect. Okay, thanks very much for your interest in this. Love it if you would like the video. I'm going to be putting more up over the spring, over the summer, and maybe you'll come to one of my classes in Wokingham. They'll be running all the way through. Okay, stay safe, enjoy your yoga, and I'll see you next time around. Thank you.